Hey everyone, I just wanted to jump on here real quick and do the video that I promised. It only took 1 day to get my lab results back from the place that drew them. I went to LabCorp. I do have the ability to help anyone schedule an appointment to go and get their labs drawn. We just do that right over the computer. I'm sorry that I'm not actually on the video, but for whatever reason, Zoom will not allow my video, my actual picture to show. So I'm just going to do screen share because I want to make sure that I get this out for everyone to see. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to jump right into my labs. I'm not going to go into too much detail as far as what each individual marker means. I'm just going to show you that my numbers are either within or outside of the optimal ranges. Disclaimer, just because I am a health coach does not mean that I am in any way, shape, or form in perfect health condition. I actually had some eye openers with this. So one of the first things that I do with a new client when we sit down is I have them fill out paperwork. Some of the first things that I ask are, do you have any allergies? Have you had any past surgeries? And are there any supplements or medications that you are currently taking? The reason I ask these questions is because they are all pieces to your overall health puzzle. So to give you a little bit of background on myself before we jump in, I have had surgeries in the past. I had my gallbladder removed in 2007. They tell you that it's okay to have your gallbladder removed because if you're having gallstone attacks, it's not doing you any good and you might as well just remove it. Over the years, I have realized that that is not true. You absolutely do need your gallbladder. If you do not have your gallbladder, your body cannot create and store enough bile to then dump into your small intestine to help your body digest and absorb certain foods. I do have issues with breaking down fats in my body and then storing those fats, which also means I have a hard time absorbing fat soluble vitamins like A, D, E, and K. You need to be able to absorb healthy fats for these vitamins to be absorbed into your body. I do not have the proper bile from having my gallbladder removed for my body to be able to absorb and break down these healthy fats. So I am always going to be slightly deficient in those fat soluble areas. I also, a couple of years ago, due to a lot of issues that I won't go into here because it's going to make a lot of people not want to continue watching, but I did have a hysterectomy. So that means that I no longer have all the female parts that are going to help my body keep and maintain certain hormones in a balance. We are going to see some of those issues in my blood work today. And then as I come across them, I will point them out. So here we go, the breakdown of my labs. So right now you are looking at my CBC with differentials. Over here I have the optimal ranges. The next column is going to be my test ranges, and then this following column here is going to be any notes or concerns or comments that I would have. These are all typical things that you would see if you were one of my clients. I would fill this out and then we would go over this together, either one-to-one in a consultation if you're local, or we would do it over Zoom. I could even just send it to you in an email if you did not want to be on a Zoom call with me. So here we go. CBC with differential. Your first marker here is going to be your white blood cells. Your white blood cells are your infection fighting warriors that are in your body. Your optimal range is between 5 and 8. And as you can see, my ranges, you're going to see 3 different numbers here. These are 3 different times that I've had this testing done over the past, let's see, this first number here is 2021, the middle number is 2022, and this last number in the column is going to be my most recent numbers. So these are 3 tests spanning 3 years. You can see that my white blood cell count is within the optimal range. So if this is the only thing that you're getting pulled when you get your CBC done, you're not going to think that there is anything wrong. The following markers that are underneath, the neutrophils, lymphocytes, monocytes, eosinophils, and basophils, these are what make up your white blood cells. So we're just seeing how many of each one you have. This is the differential part. This is the part that we absolutely need in a CBC, because as you can see, even though my white blood cells are within the proper range, if you come down to neutrophils, which shows a bacterial infection, you are supposed to be less than 60%. And my numbers are definitely higher than that. Now they are going down, but they are still higher than 60%. So this tells me that I have a very low grade underlying bacterial infection. This would not show up if you were just looking at your white blood cells. Lymphocytes, these show a viral infection. You want them less than 30. I am there. I have 15, 17, and 22. I'm good. Monocytes, this is another viral indicator. You want it less than 6%. Looky here, 7.8, 8, and 7. So this means that I have a very low grade underlying viral infection. Once again, I have these infections, but they did not trigger my white blood cells to be outside the normal range. This is very much why the differential part of your CBC is extremely important. We're going down to the eosinophils and the basophils now. These will indicate if you have food intolerances and or a parasitic infection. My numbers are not high enough for them to be a parasitic infection, so therefore we're going to look to see if we have any inflammation in the gut, would indicate a food intolerance. The next section is your red blood cells. This is also part of your CBC with differentials. Just like your white blood cells shows your infection fighting warriors, the red blood cells here are going to show your energy carriers. My red blood cells are high at the moment, along with my hemoglobin, my hemocreatin, the MCV. These are all high and rising. This indicates that my body is creating more than average red blood cells, and we will get into why in a second. My platelets are on the higher end. If you have high platelet count, what do platelets do? Platelets help with damage inside your arterial walls. So if you have anything going on in there, your body will create platelets to start patching up damage. I have cell damage inside my body, specifically in the red blood cell area. So we will have to work on fixing that. The reason that I say we're going to move on to the next panel for the red blood cells is my red blood cells are high, but we don't know why. Why is my body creating a higher than average red blood cell count? Well, that's why we move into the next, which is the iron panel. The iron panel is showing that my iron in my body is actually declining. So what my body is doing, it is trying to keep up with the iron in my body by creating more red blood cells. The more red blood cells you have, the more iron your body can carry. I obviously do not have enough iron in my system, so my body is trying to make up for that by creating new red blood cells. Ferritin is your stored iron level. This is a very old test. This is the only one that I had is from January 2019. As you can see, my number is 20. Your optimal range is supposed to be between 80 and 115, so mine is extremely low. My saturation is declining, also showing that I have very low iron, and my TIBC, which stands for total iron binding capacity. It is the receptors in your cells that actually reach out and grab the iron. That number is extremely high. That means that I have a very large amount of open receptors. We do not want that. We want those receptors to have iron in them. This also indicates cell damage in the red blood cells. So we're going to move on to the complete metabolic panel, or some people call it the comprehensive metabolic panel. You can use either or. So these are my kidney markers. The only thing that I found here was my BUN level was a little low. So this could indicate that I have low hydrochloric acid, leaky gut, and that my electrolytes are off. So we're going to see that here in a second. We're going to move on to my adrenals. My adrenals are my sodium and my potassium. Both of those are right at the cusp of the range. So this is telling me that I am dealing with some adrenal fatigue. My calcium marker is low, which shows me that I do need more vitamin D in my system. You have to have adequate amounts of vitamin D to be able to absorb calcium. My glucose was a little high. This time it's never been above the mark. I do contribute that to the fact that I was actually fasting way longer than I should have been. When you're fasting for too long, your body starts breaking down the stored glucose in your fat cells, and then that gets released into your bloodstream, which can actually increase your glucose markers. So if you fast for too long, you can actually have higher glucose markers, which is what I do believe happened. I've never had high glucose before. My uric acid's a little high, showing an acidic environment. My total protein and my globulin, these are high and low, so they're outside the optimal range. That's telling me that I do have leaky gut. I shouldn't have protein in my blood unless it's coming through that gut lining or that gut barrier. It's also showing me that I have low hydrochloric acid, because if I had normal amounts of hydrochloric acid, I would not have a leaky gut issue. As I stated before, I don't have a vitamin D, so I had to check my calcium levels, which the calcium did show that I had low vitamin D. My CO2 levels are starting to decline, so that just shows that, I'm starting to get that acidic pH level going, so we just got to keep an eye on that. Here's my liver markers, your AST, ALT, alkaline phosphatase, and your total bilirubin. They're all good except for that ALT. That ALT is an enzyme that is strictly created in the liver whenever there is distress or anything going on. That one is a little bit on the higher mark. I did have it dropped down and then it's starting to rise again, so I will have to do a liver detox. My cholesterol. I know everyone's going to freak out when they start seeing these numbers, but I'm telling you right now, your total cholesterol does not need to be lower than 200. Everyone wants you to have lower than 200 because they want to put you on a statin. A statin is not good for your body because it lowers your cholesterol too much, and it can actually cause a lot of issues. Your brain and your major fatty organs, along with the myelin sheath that covers your nervous system. These are all created and maintained by the cholesterol in your body. In fact, your body creates itself 60 to 80% of your cholesterol. The rest of it, it absorbs through your food. So your body is only going to make what it needs and then absorb the rest. So by trying to lower your cholesterol, you are actually doing a disservice to your body. My HDL is low and my LDL is high. So both of those just indicate that I do need to get some more healthier fats in my system. My thyroid, my TSH is a little high. And this is just signaling that my body needs to start making some more T4. TSH is a pituitary gland hormone, and that is made so that your body will create the T4 in the thyroid. T4 then gets converted into the usable form of T3 inside your gut. So the fact that my T4 is starting to slightly go down here, the T4 is trying to be produced or signaled to be produced by the TSH. That's why that number keeps going up, because this one is going down. My body is trying to tell itself to start making more T4 because obviously my T3s are low. So it's going, hey, we need more T3, so we've got to make more T4, but we've got to signal it with the TSH. T3 gets converted to the user, or I'm sorry, T4 gets converted to T3, which is the usable form of the hormone in your gut. The fact that we found the inflammation and the low hydrochloric acid and the leaky gut is absolutely the reason why my body is not creating the T3 that it needs. I did not get a hormone panel done. I'm not concerned about it. Maybe in the future. So if you were a client, obviously, I'm doing this very, very quick. I would go through it a lot more in depth with an actual client sitting down, but then afterwards, I would go over my actual findings. This is basically everything that I just told you. My white blood cells are within range, but the differential shows an underlying bacterial viral infection. It's talking about my red blood cells and everything being high, and that's due to cellular damage. And it said to check the iron panel, which we did. When we got to the iron panel, we realized that all my iron levels were low, signaling that I do not have enough iron in my system, and that my iron binding capacity is extremely high, which is also telling me that I do not have enough iron in my system. Kidney markers were good. Adrenal markers showed the adrenal fatigue. I did not have a vitamin D marker, so the calcium showed me that my vitamin D was actually declining because my calcium was declining. As I stated, this was the first time ever that my glucose was above range, but I do believe it was because I was fasting too long and the body was releasing the glucose to make up for it. My uric acid was high, showing that I'm starting to have an acidic system. My gut markers were showing leaky gut, inflammation, and the need to introduce hydrochloric acid into my digestive system. This could actually be the reason for the low iron. Your body needs hydrochloric acid to be able to break down and absorb the iron, but then we also have to work on the leaky gut and the inflammation so that it can be absorbed as well. So this all comes back to figuring out the root cause, which I will show you in a second. These are all just the pieces to the puzzle. I have one liver marker that is out of range, so I would have to flush that. My triglycerides were going up, so that's just indicating that my glucose is getting high. I need more healthy fats, and my TSH is rising because my T4 levels are dropping, and that is just because my body needs more T3. So basically, in a nutshell, this is how we look at your blood work. We get it all broken down into the individual systems. We go through and see what it's trying to tell us, what's high, what's low. It's really nice when you have more than one test, because then you can see what your body is actually doing. Because like I said, a good example is like the white blood cells. Just because you see numbers that are within a range now doesn't mean that they were prior. And it's nice to know if they've been going up or if they have been going down. So here's all of my test results. I'm being completely open, completely honest. I have a lot of things that I will be working on. Here's all of my findings. And then the next thing that I would go to is we work on a personal calendar. Here's where I break down the supplements that I would like you to take, along with introducing any kind of lifestyle change, diet, any exercises that we could do. So your phase one is going to be support. We're going to support the body because you can't go to war without having enough warriors. So this is going to help build up your immune system and build up your strength. Your phase two is always going to be gut destruction. This is where we come in and we get rid of any infections or anything that you've got going on. We're going to help build up the stomach lining and getting rid of the leaky gut. And maybe if you have any bacteria overgrowth in your intestine, that's what we're going to do. Gut replenish is going to be after the destruction. You got to clean the area out before you can build it back up. So here's where if you have low stomach acid like I do, you're going to take something like super enzymes, or you're going to take NAC. NAC is really good. Here, I got it right here. It increases intracellular glutathione. It's a liver antioxidant, and it has the selenium and other stuff in it. I try to have you take supplements that are going to help you in the phase that you're in, but they can also set us up for the next phase. So like I said, the NAC is good for your liver, which the next phase, this would be month 5. This would be hormones. Berberine is also good for like your blood sugar and your adrenals. Here's an adrenal support, your omegas, and then here's your liver. You're going to do a liver detox. So you have your NAC that helps build up the liver support, and then we actually go through and we do a liver detox. So those are the phases that we do. Phase 1 is always support. It might not be 2 months. It might be 1 month. It might be 1 to 4 months. It's going to depend on how much support you actually need. So phase 1 is support. Phase 2 is gut destruction. Phase 3 is gut replenish. Phase 4 I have as hormones. Not everybody needs help with hormones, so that might be skipped altogether. Phase 5 is detox. Like I said, each one, it's not necessarily 1 month, 2 month, 3 month. It's going to depend on what your markers are looking like and how bad you need to get those numbers back into optimal ranges. And then I add a little something down here. This is where it's personalized to you. This is going to be dependent on what's going on with you. So this one for me is just talking about, because I did have some food intolerance things in my CBC. So this would be, you know, trying to do like an elimination diet. Make sure I'm drinking plenty of water. Try to follow a normal sleep schedule due to the adrenal fatigue that I was dealing with. Helps with the natural circadian rhythm and the cortisol and melatonin production. Whenever you're detoxing from anything in the body, whether it's in phase 2 or phase 4, you can expect to feel sick. You are pulling something from your body that your body does not want. And depending on where it is, I always find that people tend to have symptoms from it. So if we're detoxing, let's say heavy metals, if we're doing a heavy metal detox and all of a sudden you start noticing that you are dealing with some headaches, well, you might have a buildup of mercury and aluminum in your brain and the blood-brain barrier there. So it's going to start causing some headaches. A lot of women get cramps during their menstrual cycle. That just means that, you know, the endometrium that's inside the uterus probably has a buildup of heavy metals, or, you know, it's just going to depend on what you're dealing with. And then last but not least, this is kind of for everyone to stay away from the acetaminophen, which is Tylenol. It depletes your liver's glutathione, and your liver is a major detoxifier. So we do not want to do anything to harm that organ. Antibiotics can destroy your gut health. Any kind of aspirin or ibuprofen kills off good bacteria, can decrease the good stomach acid, causes leaky gut. And then stress. A lot of people think of stress as external stressors like your job, finances, kids. But what people don't realize is you can have a lot of internal stress too. And that would be adrenal fatigue or the inflammation in your gut, or it can be, you know, those underlying hidden infections. All of that stresses your body from the inside. So if you can take care of the stressors that you can actually control, which would be what's going on inside your body, then your body can have the energy and the motivation, everything that it needs to deal with those external stressors on the outside. So basically, in a nutshell, that is my blood work. Those are my labs. As you saw, I have a lot of work to do. I do also want to, I'm going to, for myself personally, because of this, I'm going to make up a meal plan of different foods that I want to start incorporating. And then I'm just going to boost going to the gym and getting my exercises in. Other than that, I do not recommend anyone get their labs drawn more than once a year. You cannot go through one phase or two phase and get your labs drawn again, because your numbers are going to be bouncing all over the place. You're going to be fixing one system in your body that is connected to another system. And until you get through the entire process, you're not going to know where those numbers are going to fall. So it doesn't make any sense to spend the money and get worried and get more lab results within that time frame, because essentially you're not done yet. You know, it's kind of like putting the puzzle halfway together and getting upset that you don't see the full picture. We have to wait until we get every single phase done, when you're completely done with the whole entire protocol. And then not sooner than 12 months later, we would get blood redrawn so that we can compare the results and see where you're at, and then go from there. Most people get amazing results after they finish that second phase, which is the first detox of the body. Because once you start getting all that yuck out of there, you're going to start feeling better, and your body is going to be able to run a lot easier. Your systems are going to perk up. It's going to be able to start functioning the way it needs to. And I just tell people, be patient. You know, for every year that you have been sick or fatigued and not had any energy, for every year, it can take 3 to 4 months to start reversing those symptoms. So you got to give yourself time to heal. I hope this helped anyone. If you have any questions, please feel free to either go to my website and email me, or leave comments in the comment box. on whatever social media channel you are watching this. I'm going to post it on all my Facebooks, my Instagram, in my YouTube channel. So if you have any questions, concerns, or if you want me to look at your blood work, or I also have a 12-week program called Breaking Through Burnout, uncovering the root cause of fatigue. The program is specifically for women because women and men have different lab ranges depending on what marker you're looking at. I do hope to get the program up and running for the men as well, but right now I only have the ladies available. Ladies, if there's anyone out there that would want to take the program, it's 12 weeks. You do it in the comfort of your own home, and I actually go through and show you how to review your very own blood work. It's unique to you. And then depending on where your labs fall, whether you're high or low in the optimal range, I give you recommendations on what you can do to then get your marker levels where they need to be. So if anyone is interested in that, please feel free to drop me a comment or DM me, send me an email, whatever works for you. So I'm so glad that I was able to do this. I'm kind of upset that I couldn't do a video part, but I didn't want to wait and try to figure out what was going on. I just really wanted to get this video out there. I'm sorry you can't see me, but at least I got the screen share and you got to actually go over the lab work with me. So like I said, any questions, reach out. I guess just have a good rest of your day.